Let's go. Hello, everybody. It's Joshua Seth, and welcome to a very special live streamed episode of the Voiceover Champions podcast. So, welcome if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're listening to this on the podcast later on. If this goes well today, I'll make this a monthly recurring feature of the show because, man, oh man, when I started the Voiceover Champions podcast, maybe 6 months ago, I was kind of just doing it because I wanted to reconnect with my voice actor friends that I might not have seen in years, or people that I see now that I'm doing the Comic-Con circuit pretty much every weekend, but we don't necessarily have a chance to go deep and have a real conversation because we're kind of busy with the fans signing autographs and things. And then it evolved into helping people that wanted to get started voice acting themselves and what advice everybody could give them. And then I added this segment where the fans could ask questions on social media ahead of time, and I would ask it to my guests on the podcast. And then I started thinking, well, wait a second, nobody gets a chance to ask me anything in this format. So this is it. This is the Ask Me Anything version of the podcast. And how well is the podcast doing? Well, let me tell you something. I get the analytic numbers, and last week we cracked the top 200 careers podcasts in the United States for the first time. And that's a pretty big deal. There are millions and millions of podcasts, and we are in the top 200 careers podcasts in the United States now. Top 100 careers podcasts in Canada, Sweden, New Zealand, Australia, England, and Japan. Not every week, but we have cracked the top 100 in all those countries and a couple more over these past couple of months. If you've not been listening, what are you waiting for? It's free. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Amazon, Pandora, anywhere that you get podcasts. And my guests have included Kaiji Tang and Ann Yatko, Ben Diskin, Tom Fon, Dorothy Fon, Lex Lang, just so many great creative voice actors. And I've got another one coming up tomorrow. I'll be interviewing in this format, actually here on YouTube. I'm announcing it now. Joel McDonald, who is the VO overlord of Gearbox Entertainment, which makes video games, and he used to be a director at Funimation for years, and also a voice actor. So we will be back here live tomorrow morning. I will put that up after today's live stream is done to do the interview in this new format, which is more interactive and allows you guys to participate and ask questions in the moment. And then, of course, we'll be stripping the audio out and broadcasting that on the podcast later, like next week. So let's get to it. Let's get to some of your questions. Oh, wait. First, I should mention this weekend I will be appearing live at TCG Con in Dallas. And I'm pretty excited to go back to Colorado. First time there this year. I have been appearing at every single TCG Con since the beginning, and it just keeps expanding. We've got a lot of other great voice actors that are going to be joining me there. We can get into that a little bit later if you like. If just put it in the comments if you want me to name who else will be appearing with me in Dallas this weekend and what shows they voice on. TCG, of course, stands for Trading Card Game Con, and that's because the Digimon trading card game is the fastest growing trading card game in the country. So they do those tournaments as well as Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic the Gathering. I don't know if they do that one or not, but they do those tournaments all weekend long while we are, as the voice actors, signing autographs and meeting the fans. So that's Dallas this weekend. Also, one more bit of business to get to, and then I will get to your questions. So, if you follow me on social media, which I hope you do, obviously you do if you are here on the live stream, you will notice that the Trigun Pops are out, and I'm holding in my hands one of the Knives Millions Pops, Funko Pops, and this is the character that I played. I played the young version. I play Young Knives in Trigun. These are not officially out yet. There were a few of them at Hot Topic, which is where I snagged mine. and those are gone, and they will not be out for anybody to buy for weeks. However, I signed this one in advance because I will be giving it away to one lucky person on Instagram. So follow me on Instagram. It's joshua.seth on Instagram, and find the post about the knives pop and do what it asks you to do so that you can enter. And in the next couple of days, I will be closing out the contest and announcing the winner and mailing this signed Knives Trigun Funko Pop out to one of you. So let's get started with the questions. So let's see here. I've got several things going on. I've got several pages up. I've got Twitter, I've got Instagram, I got Facebook, and I've got comments coming in from YouTube. I'm just going to start with the YouTube comments since you guys are here live. Let's La Querida, I hope I pronounced that right. La Querida Wells says, Young Knives sounds like a ticked off tie. Yeah, I can hear that. Here, I'll do the voice. The butterfly was going to die anyway. You can't keep both the butterfly and the spider alive. So there you go. It's Ty with a lot of attitude because he's going to become a psychopath in Trigun. That is. Alrighty then. Rena says, hey, thank you for the podcast. I enjoy listening so much. Wow, listening from Israel. Fantastic. Another country I would love to go to. I have not been yet, but welcome from Israel. Who else here is listening from far away? Go ahead and put it in the comments, and let's see if Israel is the farthest away listener viewer that is here today. Nathan says, if I were giving away a Ty Funko Pop, he may be more tempted. Guess what I've got here? A signed Ty Funko Pop. But alas, we are not giving those away right now. Those are very expensive and hard to find, even for me. So I will not giving those away, but I do sign them and sell them at the conventions, but I don't have too many of those yet. Let's see. Oh, Doug Kubrick is watching from Quebec. Kubrick from Quebec, that's in Canada. Also says, superb podcast. Hey, you guys that listen to podcasts and love it, if you can give me the 5-star ratings and reviews, those help the algorithm. They help more people to find the podcast, especially the reviews on Apple Podcasts. So thank you in advance for anybody who would do that. Northern Ireland. We've got Feifei listening from Northern Ireland. This is amazing. The power of the interwebs. All right, let's go back and find some actual questions here. Okay, here's one from JD. Says, if there will be a new season of Digimon, will there be a new season of Digimon focusing on the Digidestined kids? Oh, if there is one, would you and Tiger, my son, be up to voicing Ty and his son together? Oh my gosh, what a great idea. You'd be a great father-son team in both reality and Digimon. Thank you for that. Oh, by the way, if you liked the music that was playing at the beginning of the live stream, that music is from my son, Tiger Seth. And you can stream any of his EDM music anywhere you stream music. Just look up Tiger Seth. And his first album was called 10 because he made all the music. It's EDM, electronic music. He made that during the pandemic when he was supposed to be studying in virtual school. Instead, he was teaching himself to produce music, which is what he wants to do for a living. And now he just turned 12, and we are in the midst of working on his second album, which is music for video games, specifically what he wants to do. So that's Tiger Seth, and you can stream it anywhere you get music. Let's see. Tom says, in light of your recent anime role in The Prince of Tennis, yeah, that's out now on Crunchyroll. That was the first voiceover I did since coming back to voiceovers and building my own booth here in my home a few months ago. And since then, I've worked on a couple other projects that I can't tell you about, but you will know about later in the summer. So the question from Tom is, in light of your recent anime role in The Prince of Tennis, is there a chance you get to be in more anime roles soon? Oh, I kind of answered that already. Yes, actually, I don't know what I can tell you about what I just wrapped a big project, okay? We'll keep it real general. It was a big project, and it took several weeks to voice, which is not usually the case with anime. And I really can't tell you any more than that, except that it will be announced in a big way toward the end of this summer. All right, let me go. Let me scroll back to the beginning here. And Jason Blade asks, if you had a chance to work with Johnny Young Bosch again, where would it most likely be? First of all, Johnny Young Bosch, great guy, talented voice actor, and musician as well. And I had a chance to hang out with him at a convention that we did together. Where was that? It was just a couple of weeks ago, but everything is running together in my mind because pretty much every weekend I've been getting on a plane, flying to a convention, getting driven to a hotel, and not leaving the hotel until I get picked up for the convention, and then driven right back to the airport. So I never really see these places, so I forget where I went because there's no time to do anything when I'm in these places. Anyway, I did do a convention somewhere with Johnny Young Bosch recently, and he and I had a great time reconnecting. I have probably worked with him on more anime projects than any other voice actor. I mean, we were both in Wolf's Rain. We were both in Power Rangers, but at different times. We were both in Digimon. He was just in the Digimon Tri, though. And we both co-starred in Akira and a bunch of other stuff as well. So in terms of what we would work on together, wouldn't it be cool if there were an Akira reboot or like some new version of Akira they did, like a Akira the series or Akira the reboot or Akira the sequel or prequel or something. I don't know, something like that. That would be, for me, because I'm a fan of Akira, that would be the best. And why is there not a Funko Pop from Akira? Can anybody answer this? That's my question, because there's a million Funko Pops out there of, every random obscure TV character that you could think of, and multiple pops of, say, Pokemon creatures. And when are they going to re-release the Digimon Pops? That's the other thing, too. I can't find these Tie Pops anymore. I have as hard a time finding it as you guys. I should have bought 1,000 of them in 2018 when they came out, but I wasn't going to conventions to sign them at the time, so I didn't think about it, and now they're gone. So come out with some new Digimon Pops. Enough with the Pokemon, okay? We have enough Pokemon Pops. Come out with some new Digimon Pops. Re-release Tai doing something with a soccer ball or something, and everybody would get it, wouldn't you? And the Akira Pops, all they would need is my character Tetsuo, Johnny Young Bosch's character Kaneda, and the bike. That's it. You only need 3. Classic anime, #1 on every critic's list of best anime movies of all time, and they don't have Pops for it. I don't get it. All right, moving on. D-Dog asks, who is your favorite Digimon besides Agumon, who I have right here? Agumon. Hi, Tai. Hi, Agumon. Pepper breath. My favorite, well, that's easy. My favorite would be, my favorite Digimon, that is, would be Motimon, because I also voiced him, and I like doing the voice. Motimon, and Motimon is a little pink, little squishy thing, and he sounds like this. And, surprisingly, my girlfriend doesn't like it when I do this voice in a romantic setting. I don't know why. But it's fun for me, anyway. Let's see. ByLove863 says, hope your kids are doing well. Happy belated birthdays to them both. Yes, we had a great 10th birthday for my daughter. Oh, my daughter Nikita. So check this out. So my son's an electronic musician, just turned 12, and wants to do music for video games. But my daughter has wanted to do this, has wanted to do voice acting for years. And I'm like, be a kid first, do well in school. Okay, you're about to turn 10. My big birthday present to you is to make you a demo. So she jumped in the booth about a month ago. We made a demo, and I just sent it to one agent. I was like, well, aim high, right? I'll send it to the top voiceover agency for kids in Los Angeles, the same agency that Johnny Young Bosch was with, for instance, and that Bryce Papenbrook, Inosuke from Demon Slayer now, but I've known him since he was a little kid voicing. He was always at that agency. Anyway, I sent it to them, and they signed her. They signed her like immediately, and she's been auditioning for some really great projects. That's slowed down now because of the strike, of course, but prior to the strike. And in a few years, I just expect that she will be a bigger voice actor than me, and that both my kids will be successful, and then I can retire, and they can just drive me around and feed me instead of the reverse, which is basically all I do during the week. Is I am Mr. Mom, driving them around, waiting in the car line, waiting to pick Nikita up from dance lessons or Tiger up from music lessons, and getting food and making food and cleaning up from food and being a parent, which is extraordinarily time-consuming, unpaid job. Somebody should have told me. But I love them. I love being a dad. All right, moving on. Here's an interesting one. Same person asks, I wish you would do a special interview with the original voice of Matt from Digimon, Michael Reese. That's a great idea. I haven't heard from him in years. I heard he became a lawyer and then a writer, but he is around. I might do that. Well, I'll consider that. He's not really on the scene anymore. Okay. Scrolling through the questions. Julian, one of my students from my Zoom classes. Missed you last weekend, Julian, but it's fine. You've taken a lot of classes, and congratulations on getting cast in a series recently, one of my student success stories. And I'm not going to say what it is in case you're not supposed to announce it yet, but I got the message. I got the email. Okay, so moving forward, hoping to be a voice actor. Love TK and Digimon, which was played by Johnny Youngbosch in Try during childhood, and so forth. So the question is there any way to get in the field of voiceover careers? And had a birthday. Happy birthday. You're doing it. You get training, which that's why I do these occasional Zoom classes, which if you scroll down in the podcast, the link is always there to whatever the new workshop is. I don't have a workshop scheduled right now, but I have a free voiceover class for anybody that wants to take it that's on demand. I'm putting it in the chat right now. It's joshuaseth.com/VO. joshuaseth.com/VO, and you can just watch that, and it gives you an overview of how to get started as a voice actor. Okay, now I because I put that in, now I got to scroll all the way back and find my spot in the questions. Here's an interesting question from Odug. Do you ever still see your voice actor friends like Laura Jill Miller, who voiced Kari? Yeah, actually, a few years ago, when I was voicing one of the Digimon Try movies, I think Laura and I went out to lunch and we hung out for an afternoon. She's a very sweet lady, and she does a lot of series, original animation series. Now, that's somebody else that would be pretty fun to have on the podcast. So many talented voice actors out there. Scrolling again now. I need some scrolling music. Here, wait. I know what I could use for scrolling music. How about this? Here. There's the scrolling music. Okay. Man, you guys post a lot here. Okay, now I think I'm caught up. Back to where we started, and now we get to the new stuff, and then I'll go over to the social media questions as well. Somebody says, I feel like Godzilla or King Kong is going to show up any second with my background. For listeners to the podcast that are wondering what they are talking about with my YouTube live stream background, join me on the next YouTube live stream, and you can see. Mike's saying, really excited to hear you and Joel catch up. That would be Joel McDonald, who I am going to do a live stream interview with here on YouTube tomorrow, and that'll be in next week's podcast. Recently been in both your workshops, absolute gold mines. See, that's interesting. I'm not actually catching up with Joel Mike because I've never met him, and I never watched anything that he's done, and I didn't even know that he ran workshops online like I do for voiceovers, but I'll ask him about that tomorrow. There's only one reason I'm having him on the show, and that is because he is the funniest voice actor on my Twitter feed. He is so funny, like an effortless, dry humor that every day, every post, I'm like, I got to get to know this guy. We're going to have a good time. Somebody else giving a shout out to Neil Kaplan. Yeah, when am I going to get Neil on the podcast? He tells me every time I see him that he'll do it, and I send him the link, and then he doesn't click on the link. What is the deal with that? He is my favorite voice actor curmudgeon. And I did a viral video with him when the two of us were walking around in New York City a few months ago, and we just reposted that, and it's going bonkers on the TikTok, so you can check that out too, where he being Neil Kaplan does a lot of voices from all his popular roles in that video on TikTok and the Instagram. Alrighty then, scrolling again, but I'm not going to do the music because I think I'm pretty close to being where we need to be in the scroll. Boy, this is good radio, isn't it, for the podcast? Here's a good question. Funko Fins asks, who is one person that you have not interviewed yet that you would love to? Well, I have some pretty big name voice actors that I'm holding on to. I'm waiting till like episode 100 for some of these. I'll tell you, one person that's been very open to doing it, who says he doesn't do podcasts, but is going to do mine, is Zach Aguilar, the voice of Tanjiro from Demon Slayer. He's a really nice young man, very talented. And so I look forward to having him on the podcast, but I have not extended the invite to him yet because I just want to wait till we have like the 50th or the 100th or something episode and do it then. So yeah, that would be somebody, because I'm really interested in how he started so young and got so successful so early, because in my case it took me years to get famous and good at voiceovers. Like by the time Digimon came around, I'd already been voicing stuff in LA for like 7 years, and here he is in his early 20s, and he's already doing great work and has a huge following and is super successful, and can't wait to see where he goes from here. All right, here's Jason Blade. Hello from Michigan. Who's your top co-star to work with? Johnny Young, Bosch, Bryce Papenbrook, who? Oh, definitely the aforementioned Johnny Young, Bosch, just because we worked together so much. Bryce, I didn't actually work with him too much because I worked with his dad. His dad passed away many years ago, but back when I was starting out, he was a force to be reckoned with. He always played like colonels and generals because he sounded like this, like for real. It wasn't a put on. And Bryce would be running around the studio and would just get thrown in to do a line here or there whenever they needed a kid to do a role, because he was just hanging out anyway. All right. Okay. I think I already answered that one. Oh, here's a good question from Ragnar, the Nerdy Viking. Hey, Joshua, listening from Dallas. I'm also going to be in Dallas next week, right after Denver, but I just didn't mention it because it's for a corporate event that I'm emceeing. It's not open to the public. I do a lot of other events that aren't open to the public, either my live show as a mentalist, or emceeing events, or keynoting corporate events on my topic of improving your communication skills. So this is to MC an event. So I will be in Dallas right after Denver, and I'll wave from the plane. All right, so Ragnar says, hi, Joshua, listening from Dallas. What was the hardest challenge for you as an actor when you first got started, and how did you get through that challenge? My hardest challenge was just that I couldn't get arrested. Like, nobody would pay attention to me. Nobody would pay attention to me. It literally took me years. I had to take classes like I recommend other people do, and I had to network and go to parties and pound the pavement. Like, there wasn't social media. You couldn't do this virtually like I am right now. I had to literally move to Los Angeles. I grew up in Ohio, and I went to college in New York City. I went to film school at NYU. And then I had to move to Los Angeles, uproot my whole life, and spend a lot of time just driving around LA and going to auditions at, there were places back then like the Voicecaster, for instance, where you'd spend half your day just driving to an agency or driving to do an audition, and then sitting around, signing in, waiting for your turn, reading for 30 seconds, and then fighting the traffic back home again. And days and months and years I spent doing this until eventually people got to know me. They got used to seeing me, got used to hearing me. And then fast forward a few years, eventually there was one day when the breakdowns, which is the casting service, the breakdowns said, looking for a Joshua Seth type. And I'm like, oh, first of all, they could have just called me instead of casting for somebody else's version of me. But the point at which I became a sound and a type, then that was the culmination of years of effort to just get noticed by the industry. That was absolutely the hardest challenge, was just for somebody to give me a chance, somebody to take an interest in what it was I had to do. And that's the same for creative people, not just voice actors, but all kinds of actors, creative people in all professions, is to get a following and to get people to see what you are doing. And it can take a lot of time and tenacity. And that's why a lot of talented people you've never heard of, because just people either never find them or they give up before that happens. Luckily, I did magic and was able to make a good living still performing during those years. And I still love to do that. All right, so let's scroll down a little bit more. Here's DigiPanda. Says, good afternoon, Josh, from Kansas. Do you ever have plans to play the Digimon trading card game with your Digimon alum and voice the characters? Ooh, that would be cool. I don't know how that would work. Can you voice the cards as they're being thrown down? Actually, for all the TCG cons that I've done, I've never actually seen one of the tournaments because that's over in one part of the convention hall and I'm over in voice actor row in another. So maybe I'll try to find a way to see some of the gameplay this weekend. That could be pretty cool, like how those Critical Role voice actors do the voices while they're playing Dungeons and Dragons. Like we could do the voices while we're playing the Digimon game. The other thing that I've thought about, which might be a little more practical and easier to facilitate on my own, would be live streaming either here on Twitch, one or the other, me playing the Digimon video game, because my son has all the video game players, like an Xbox, a PlayStation, an Oculus, and a what is it called, a Nintendo Switch. And we could get the game, and I could do it on a live stream. The thing that stops me is, well, not really understanding how to set it up, but also I don't know how to use the controllers. So initially, it's going to be just you guys watching me try to figure out, what does the X mean? What does the O mean? Would you want to see that? Put it in the comments. Would you want to see me live streaming me playing the games and doing Thai voice while I'm playing it? I could do it, but I'm going to be terrible. I'm going to lose constantly initially while I just try to figure out how to use the controllers. Next question from Rena. Hey, Joshua, do you sometimes regret taking a break from voiceover? You know, there are people who say, I never have regrets, never live with regrets, like everything is a learning opportunity. And I call BS on that. Of course I have regrets. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have left. If I had just kept doing what I was doing and not left LA, yeah, I would be as big as the biggest voice actors out there now. I'd have 500 roles. Because how do I know? Because every single person that was my contemporary in the small group of OG anime voice actors that existed in LA, there were only 20, 30 of us, if that many, you know all their names. Like, they all have 500 credits on IMDb and are all big names on every big anime since then. I just burned out. I literally burned out because for 6 or 7 years, I worked as hard as I could to get noticed by the industry. And then for 6 or 7 years, I worked as hard as I could, taking every role that was offered to me without a break every single day, and never taking a vacation, never taking a day off, because I thought this could all stop. This could all end. And I worked so hard to get here. And that was every day I was voicing stuff. And every night I was performing my live show, Magic Mentalism, up at the Magic Castle, or celebrity parties in the Hollywood Hills, or flying to Vegas on the weekend to do corporate events. And I literally just burned out and had to decide, which path am I going to take, live shows or voiceover recording? And I thought, well, I've already done the voiceover recording thing. I'd like to go on tour and see the world and I'll come back someday. And that went on and on for like a dozen years until the pandemic. And then now that the pandemic's over, it looks like I'm coming back to voice acting because I can do it remotely. But it'll take a little time because it takes time, again, to get noticed by the industry so that casting directors and producers, even those that I used to work with, so that they know that I'm back. And then I have to wait for them to audition for projects and then win those roles, record them, and then you have to wait until they're finished and are announced and are out. So yeah, I'm starting to work on things now, but some of these things you may not even know about for another year or two. But it's happening. Everything comes full circle. And in terms of regrets, yes and no. I mean, business-wise, career-wise, no, I should have just kept doing what I was doing. I was already successful. But in terms of living a life, I'm glad that I lived the life that I did because I got to tour to over 40 different countries. I did 5 live TV specials in Japan and South Korea, doing my mentalism. I performed at the Mandalay Bay Arena in Las Vegas. I performed at the Wellington Opera House in New Zealand. I would not have been able to have any of these experiences and live that kind of life if I just stayed in LA and locked myself in a recording booth for all those years. So, regret, yeah, but kind of not really because I had a fun life too. Scrolling. Funko Finn says, I heard Digimon Pops are in the works. Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. I haven't seen an announcement. I've just heard a lot of people speculating. And if they come out with Digimon Pops that are of some random Digimon, like, that's not what I want. More Thai. I want more Thai Pops because I'm Thai. That's what everybody wants. That's what the fans demand. Moving on. Rena agrees. It is so hard to find Digimon Pops. Exactly. O-Dog says, no idea on Akira. I still remember watching it after, about why they're not coming out with the Pops. I remember watching it after Roger Ebert's review. You remember Roger Ebert? You're dating yourself there, O-Dog. All I know is it might have, all I know is that it might have inspired the Duffer Brothers to do Stranger Things. I loved Stranger Things. That was a great series. But I love Stephen King, and I do not love most Stephen King movies, except for The Shining, which Stephen King does not like, which I don't get. But most of the Stephen King books do not translate well to movies, and I felt like Stranger Things took the best tropes and concepts from Stephen King's books and put it in a series, an excellent series. And I have heard that Akira was also an inspiration for it. Akira was also an inspiration for my favorite sci-fi movie, which is The Matrix. So it's influenced so many things. Continuing on, L'Aquaria says, I wish they had Wolf's Rain Funko Pops. Yeah, they'd have to be wolves, though. but that would be a good one, too. Every convention, a few people, hardcore fans of Wolf's Rain, come up and say what a great series that is, and it's still one of their favorite anime. And I have to agree, it was really well done. It has an amazing cast. Me, Johnny Young Bosch again, Crispin Freeman. I think was Wendy Lee in that, and who else? Steve Bloom's wife directed it, Mary Elizabeth McGlynn. Just an all-star cast in that. So, many people saying congratulations to my kids, congratulations to my daughter on getting a voiceover agent in LA. Yeah, I'm super excited for both of them, especially her right now, though. It's been pretty cool to voice direct her auditions, too, and she takes direction like that because she grew up listening to this and doing all of this. She's kind of born into it and has an ear as well. All right, continuing on. Andrew says, hey, Joshua, my name is Andrew. Big fan of your shows and voice acting. Thank you very much. Oh, do you miss Michael Lindsay, who voiced Joe from Digimon? I do. There's like some curse of Digimon where several of us from the original cast have already died premature deaths. Michael Lindsay and Felice Sampler, of course, and who was that? Mimi, I believe, and who else? There was it the voice of Viamon, I believe, died like a year or so ago. Yeah, a bunch of people. Too soon. Somebody whose name I can't pronounce asks, what's the biggest audition your daughter has gotten? I can't name them. You have to agree to these NDAs every time, but they're like anime series and animated movies and like, real stuff and commercials. All right, continuing on. Okay. Ben asks, how is Colleen doing? I assume you mean Colleen O'Shaughnessy from Digimon as well. Fan of her work. Yeah, me too. Well, she's doing great because she's Tails in Sonic, and the second Sonic movie was Tails' movie. So, somebody else asking about Colleen O'Shaughnessy. Sora, yeah, voice of Sora. Do you ever still see her? I see her at Comic-Cons, like everybody, occasionally. And they're saying she did a remarkable job as Tails in Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And yes, that she totally deserves it and has been doing this as long as I have. Hi, what kind of vocal do you use before recording? Asks Wolf Husky. I assume you mean warm-ups. So I actually teach these in my training. If you go to joshuaseth.com/training, I have training for voice actors about how to use your instrument, how to improve your voice. Warm-ups are like a whole week of that. Breathing exercises mostly, vocalization exercises. You don't have to sing, but there are singing exercises, articulation exercises. I like to finish all of that off with tongue twisters and then singing some R&B karaoke. So if I'm going to actually do a recording session, I don't do this for an audition. I'm not going to do all of that. But for a recording session where I'll be recording for hours on end, yeah, I do the breathing exercises, vocalization exercises, tongue twisters, and then I'll sing some karaoke as well. Disney something or other asks, what is your favorite Digimon memory? Oh, the movie, Digimon the movie, when we actually had a budget and got to take our time with it, and then the studio sent a limo to my house, and we all piled in and went to the Fox lot to have the whole red carpet premiere, and I got interviewed for all the TV shows and magazines and flashbulbs going off and celebrities around the red carpet that brought their kids to watch Digimon the movie. It was amazing to go from recording Digimon the series in a recording booth in isolation and not having any fan feedback, because this was so long ago. There was no social media, so we didn't know how big it had gotten or what people's reaction to the series was originally. Not until I saw people in a theater in person enjoying that movie did it really hit me, like what a big cultural phenomenon Digimon had actually become. That's my favorite memory to this day of Digimon, to go from recording in a sound booth by myself and a director on the other side of the glass in isolation to being in a theater surrounded with Digimon fans enjoying the movie. It's just mind-blowing, amazing. So, Jason asks, speaking of Sonic, if you got cast to be a Sonic the Hedgehog character, who would you see yourself as? It's a good. I don't know. You guys tell me who you think. I haven't seen enough of it to give a good answer on that. Sorry, not a good answer. But honestly, I don't watch a lot of stuff. I have this philosophy that you're either a creator or a consumer when it comes to content. And I'm a creator, so I'm spending my time right now creating this for all of you guys instead of watching something that somebody else put out. So I don't really watch a lot of TV or anime or movies or anything like that unless it's like a date night with my girlfriend, or like I took my kids to see the Mario movie, which I thought was really well done just recently. Just kind of rare like that. I listen to a lot of audiobooks because I drive around so much, driving my kids around or flying around to events. So I'm very auditory like most voice actors, so I prefer listening to things. What is it? Sakan Rufel asks, what made you get into magic? I loved magic ever since I was a little kid, and my grandfather took me to see Harry Blackstone Jr. at the Ohio Theater in Cleveland, which is about an hour from where I grew up in Kent, Ohio, and I always wanted to do magic. And when I was in college and I needed to earn some extra money on the side, I found that I could do an hour of magic, a show, and make more than I would working full-time at a regular job, so I just never got a job and always did it and kept meeting good magicians and learning more. And I spent as long, maybe a decade, as long learning to be a good mentalist as I did learning to be a good voice actor. Years and years and years. And luckily I lived about 5 minutes away from the Magic Castle in Hollywood, and there was a time in the 90s when I was up there pretty much every night, either performing or seeing other performers or researching things in the library or networking with other magicians. And I love the feeling of stepping out onto a bare stage in a spotlight with nothing, no dancers, no props, because mentalism's all in the mind, right? And then looking out at a sea of faces in the audience, 1,000 people in the theater, and just captivating them and taking them on this ride of emotions, from jaw-dropping amazement to fall out of their seat, belly hurting, laughing, having all these emotional experiences with just nothing, just doing a show out of my head. It's the best. It's great. I would like to get back to doing more shows. I would like to do these shows in the evenings at Comic-Cons too, and it just doesn't work for the schedules generally. The schedules are too tight. At some point, though, I'll start touring the show again as well. Egregious Philbin asks, have you done audiobooks? No, because it takes a lot of time, and I do not have that much time to do an audiobook. Tara Sands, who was a guest on an early episode of the Voiceover Champions podcast, does a lot of those, and I talked to her about that on that podcast. Is that something I should do? And she basically warned me against it because I just don't have the time to do that. All right. Coming down toward the end of the comments here. Got to wrap this up soon, but I will get over to social media and check out their comments as well. Mike asks, cheeky question. Do you have any plans to extend your convention tour into the UK or other countries in the near future? Jolly good, Mike. Yes, of course. I would love to go to the UK. I could do my silly British accents the whole time I was there. But the thing is, they need to ask me. So if you guys want me to show up at your local Comic-Con or convention, you need to contact the convention organizers. Fans always want to ask the voice actors, would you come? The answer is almost always yes, but nobody's asked me. So yeah, find out what conventions you have and then ask the convention organizers, and then they'll reach out, and then we'll make it happen. That's how it works. I gotta scroll. I gotta conclude this soon here. I see some duplicates here, unless I'm scrolling through the same thing. Do you think social media is changing voice acting? Another good question. Yeah, definitely, because I think a lot of roles get cast on the basis of a voice actor's social media following. So let's say we're talking like a good role that only goes out to the top half dozen agencies for voice actors in, say, LA or New York. And each of those agencies has maybe 10 slots where they can submit their voice actors. So they represent a lot of people. They have to pick and choose. We're going to choose these 10 people. So maybe there's 100 people that from a few agencies in New York and a few agencies in LA that audition for this one role. And then the casting director and everybody's good at this level, right? But maybe there's a dozen of them that are good but also right for the role. Then they're going to look at, all other things being equal, who has a big social media following. If somebody has 100,000 followers on TikTok or Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and then the other person who is just as good but has basically no following, of course they're going to cast the person with a following because that person has built-in marketing muscle. And that is why I have recently hired a social media manager, and that is why I am doing this live stream right now, because he's telling me you need to start recording more videos to get more content out there to get a bigger following. So yeah, absolutely. Social media is changing voice acting, and it is now necessary for voice actors to show up on social media, interact with fans, and get a following. So that will create a competitive advantage in the audition process because of the marketing benefit that has for the productions that cast us. Pretty simple. Is it fair? Is it right? it doesn't really matter if it's fair or right. It's just the reality. It's just what is. I like to go with what is and then take it from there. Somebody's saying they could teach me to live stream the video games. Yeah, well, it's on the possible to do list there. All right. Chan saying come back and do some big animes. Yeah, I'm working on it. It takes some time, but I'm doing the auditions. So we're moving in that direction. Do you remember? Is it pronounced Jeremy Lee? From Digimon Adventure Try. I actually never worked with her, but I see her at a lot of conventions. So when I do one with her, I'll definitely connect and ask her to be on the podcast. I'd like to get to know her. A lot of people I've worked with, I don't actually know because especially now that things are remote. But even when we were recording in person, we weren't in the studio at the same time. So if we were recording back to back, we would see each other in the hallway or in the break room or something like that in the lobby. And that'd be it. Unless you're like at the same agency or something. Okay. Moving toward the end. I know I keep saying that. Mike says, I don't know how many of the games Ty features in, but if you're up to lending his voice to some new characters, then Digimon Survive plays a lot like a visual novel. It's super narrative heavy. Okay. Yeah. Digimon Survive. That's the one on the Switch, I think. That would be the one that I would stream live as well. There's Valerie, superstar singer Valerie. Hey Joshua, you're amazing. Oh gosh, thanks so much. And gotta go. Oh well, okay, okay, fine. Scrolling. Gotta keep on scrolling. Hey Joshua, how's the experience watching shows you dubbed with your kids? Yeah, well, sometimes it's great, and sometimes my daughter's like, why don't you do anything new, Daddy? That's another reason that I came back, because she kept saying that. All right, I've got to wrap this up, but we will do another one. This went great. Thank you for all of your questions. Oh, I still have to do... I still have to do the social media questions. Real quick here at the end, we'll do the social media questions. I'll tell you what, for everybody who's still with me, I'm going to offer you something. So let me offer you something. I am going to show you something I have not announced yet on the screen share. Here we go. This is my new store, which has not technically launched yet. Wait, get that off of there. All right. There it is. Okay. There's the store. That is at joshuaseth.com/store. And the reason that I'm putting this up, I put the link in the broadcast there, joshuaseth.com/store. The reason that I'm creating this is because not everybody can come to a convention. Not everybody's going to be in Denver this weekend, for instance. So if you want an autographed Funko Pop or trading card, you can see authenticated trading cards there that I've signed, or prints. I've also got custom prints of all these things. I'm going to give you a code that you can use for 20% off your first order. And the code is NEWCUST, like new customer, but it wouldn't fit. NEWCUST. If you want to go to joshuaseth.com/store and put in the code NEWCUST, you will get 20% off your first order as a thank you for listening or viewing or being a part of this experience here today. And now, finally, we will conclude with questions on the social media post that I made earlier. Let's see, on Twitter, it looks like there are no questions. On Instagram, let's find the Instagram there. There we go. Okay. Starnios Cosplay says, if you could digivolve into any Digimon, nothing from the main cast, what would you digivolve to? What would you digivolve into? Like, you mean Ty, or do you mean me as a human being? War Greymon, because he's big and strong. I can feel what it's like to be big and strong. Let's see. Account Royale asks, are you going to travel to different states? Yeah, I'm traveling to 2 different states this weekend, Colorado and Texas. And now we move over to the Facebook, which is not loading. I'll give it just one moment here to see if we can get Facebook to load. Okay, there we go. And, oh, it's on my personal page. I got to go to the fan page. Un momento, por favor. Loading the fan page. Come on, Facebook. Come on! There we go. And there's one question, and it's not a question. Oh, yes, it is. Irene asks, do you have a dream guest for your podcast? A dream guest? Ooh, living or dead? I'd like to have Dawes Butler on, who is the voice of Droopy. He was a voice of Droopy at the old Hanna-Barbera. But he's sadly passed on, so we couldn't do that. I suppose you mean living. Maybe, gosh, who would be? That's a good question. I could shoot for the moon and have anybody on. Oh, Booza? I can't remember the guy's first name. Who's like the voice of a lot of the Looney Tunes right now. I've never met him. I'm probably not going to cross paths with him because he's not like an anime guy. But this new Looney Tunes voice actor, super talented and interesting. And yeah, that would be kind of cool. A little bit off topic for the podcast because he's not in the Eric. There it is, Eric Bauza. Yeah, that would be a pretty good one, right there, and or maybe my daughter because she is. I gotta wait. Like when she announces her first anime role, I'll have her on as a guest, and we can see what it's like from the perspective of a kid to be a voice actor and to grow up in a world where she has only ever known TikTok and live streaming and anime and on-demand shows all the time. Like it's just a part of her DNA at this point. Stuff that, people find throughout the course of their lives and get interested in as fans, like she has grown up with, and it's a very different perspective, to be sure. So, all right, so that's it. That wraps up our very first live stream Ask Me Anything Q&A version of the Voiceover Champions podcast here on YouTube. And since this went so well, I will schedule a monthly live stream like this. So share it, tell your friends, like and subscribe, smash those buttons. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you so much for being an important part of the Voiceover Champions experience. Till next time, bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.